My name is Kimani Wandaka, and for the short film Time Left, I was the director of photography and editor.
Helen Macedo, screenwriter, director, mostly screenwriting though.
Alex, or Witty, or Witty Man, or just Witty.
In Time Left, I was one of the people who came up with the concepts. We came up with the concept together with Ngatia and a few other people, but the concrete of the core of the idea was a collaboration between me and Ngatia.
I'm an actor and also a singer and also a writer. No, I write music, not scripts.
Time Left was an experimental film that was done in the spur of the moment.
It was a silent film.
I think we'd come from shooting something that day, or we finished shooting earlier. I think we were shooting something else, so we finished shooting earlier, and we had the camera for the rest of the day, and we were there. So we were like, guys, let's shoot something.
We just came up with something and went with it.
We came up with this idea like,
what if we knew the amount of time we had left in this world?
You just explain the role and then you go inside. You form your character where when you're there at the seat and then you get inside, you do your stuff, you come out, you're dead or given time to leave. Yeah, something of the sort, yeah.
We have explored like the kind of reactions. To us it's more of the reactions rather than what people will do, but the reactions of people to knowing how much time they have left in this world. Helen Macedo and Ngatia Brian. They came up with the concept and the rest of us just built on it.
It's just an idea that happened to arise. So we're like, death is interesting. It is interesting.
It was an idea that sprang up there and then. We were doing a pre-production to some film, I think, if I'm not wrong. If not, angles of my face, I'm not quite sure. But then there was a camera there, like Kenyan films. You have a camera, we can shoot. Yes. So any idea that comes up, let's do this before the camera is taken away, you know? Yes.
I'm dark and so is Ngatia. Also, I've been told. It was an interesting thing to explore. Like, how would people react if they knew how much time they had left? What happens is that one person gets up and goes into a room. The other ones are waiting, and they're all have varying degrees of shock, of anxiety and stuff. So it kind of brings the suspense of what's going on in that room and such like. So after the person goes in, after some time, the person, he or she, comes out, and then we intercut with a shot of there were some sticky notes on a board nearby where a certain number appears. The moment you come out of the room, then guys get to know how much time you have left. And so we can make a relation between the facial expression you come out with and the number of days you have left. So sometimes someone has 2 days left or 1,000 days left. So varying degrees of, yeah. It was interesting to see what people would come up with as backstories for these people, because we basically just meet these people. We don't know who they are. They are nervous about things, and we try to imagine, like, what could they be nervous about, and why are these remaining days so important or significant to what they are going through at that particular time. So we don't follow it up afterwards, but we leave that as a question mark to the audience.
what I could say is what I think a Kenyan story is a story that I can identify with being a Kenyan. It does not necessarily need to be filmed by a Kenyan, but if it's a story that I can identify with being a Kenyan, I would think of that as a Kenyan story.
A story set in Kenya, or a story that tackles Kenyan themes in whatever setting it's set in. Like Pumzi. Pumzi is not necessarily set in Kenya. We don't know exactly where it's set. It's a very post-apocalyptic world, but references to the Mugumo tree and stuff make you know that this story is absolutely Kenyan. And well, Nairobi Half-Life is Kenyan. It's set in Kenya, in the heart of Kenya.
Just as it is Kenyan story, I'm staying in Kenya. I work in Standard Chartered or in Muthurwa. They shoot me as I work in Muthurwa or something. When you have a Kenyan story, it's basically what is happening in Kenya. As simple as it is. Like stories about Kenya, as simple as it is. Yeah, I don't know there's anything that can be added to it so that it becomes like this is Kenya. In fact, we as Kenyans, we don't have an exact culture that we are entitled to, because we are fond of picking several cultures and then we amalgamate them, and then we come up with some weird kind of thing. I don't know. So we don't really have a central kind of culture.
I've watched a few films that I identify with. For example, I watched the film Strength of a Woman. That's Gilbert Lucalia's Strength of a Woman. And I watched it. It's a story that I really identified with. It's set in the rural area. I have not been brought up in the rural area, but my experience when I have visited really matched exactly what I was seeing on that film. I've also watched films from foreigners, for example, The First Grader, which I was watching recently. And it's a story that we have encountered at some point as Kenyans, you know, the story of Kimani Maruge. But watching it, there's this very small, you feel it misses some beats, you know. It misses a certain authenticity, a certain originality.
Yeah, good films. Nairobi Half-Life. It's a very good film. In fact, I really wish I think maybe my talent would have been seen outside there. I really wish I would be part of it. But anyway, Nairobi Half-Life, top notch.
Yeah. What do you think they did that most the other films don't do?
I like the fact that they talk in Swahili. Naweza ongea Kiswahili. I like the fact that they talk in Kiswahili, and it's basically what happens. It's a reflection of a Kenyan society in terms of when you look in terms of different themes, lifestyles and that and things of the sort, because it replicates what exactly happens, and we don't really actually talk in English that much in Kenya, if not you're from the leafy suburbs or something, and in fact we struggle because it's not something, it's not our thing anyway. There is you talk, and then there is ka shrubbing somewhere that comes along, and then you say sorry or something on this. Yeah, but it really showed what Kenya is in terms of streetwise, in terms of gang things or something. Yeah, and Nairobi Half-Life was a good thing. I can't go without saying about also Angles of My Face. It was a good film.
This was my first directorial attempt ever.
As a writer, I meet a lot of people who have ideas, grand ideas that these people are not necessarily writers, but they have really grand ideas that they want to be put into a script or something.
It really isn't about the stories. People have great stories, But in terms of how we present these stories as films, we lose out a bit, I think.
As a screenwriter, there's something more, because a screenplay is not like a novel. A screenplay is written to be short. So as a screenwriter, you kind of have that at the back of your mind. Usually you have that doubt. Fine, I'm writing this grand idea. Is it going to be short? Or am I going to spend all my energies writing this thing and then just have it shelved because it's too big budget, or it's too strange, or something of the sort. So people have grand ideas, but execution is an issue, because you don't want to feel like you wasted your energy writing your script, because it takes blood and sweat writing a script. So
I've watched for example, Kenyan TV productions and film productions. Rarely does the location count as a character in the story. And if you watch films that have that authenticity, the location really plays a major part in telling that film story. If you watch, for example, Gangs of New York by Scorsese, you know, if the film is called Gangs of New York, and when you watch New York, you do not get that New York feel. I've never been to New York personally, but you know, there are films you watch and you feel the essence of the city, for example. When I watched Nairobi Half-Life, I loved Nairobi Half-Life because it captured that. It captured the essence of Nairobi. You know, Nairobi, not exactly the glamorous side that we have all seen, but Nairobi, the side that, you know, we don't usually get to see. And my take is, the more we invest in locations as a character, the more our stories will get that authentic feel. The film industry is almost non-existent in Kenya.
Kenya film industry, it's been a long way coming. It's a long way going.
I think film, especially in Kenya, it's yet to get its footing, but we're getting there because there are people who are actually in the film industry and this is their main hustle.
When you talk about Kenyan film and Kenyan TV, there's a lot of bureaucracy, I think.
The film industry is almost non-existent in Kenya, especially mainstream film. The TV industry is very much existent, you know. People earn an actual living out of TV.
Me as an actor, I don't really feel like it has done sufficiently enough for me to be proud of it. Yeah.
With the right passion and collaborations and stuff, it can totally take off and become something.
Comparing the TV industry and the film industry, the TV industry is some miles or kilometers ahead of the film industry. Doesn't mean that people aren't doing films. It's just that the films that have been shot don't necessarily, or don't have a very clear platform where they could be showcased, you know. If you try to count the number of films that have been premiered, it's a very small number. And even when they premiere, it's for like a week. They don't really have a proper cinema run.
when it comes to the government versus filmmaking, it's very
There's too much corruption that goes about this.
it's very frustrating. It's frustrating just thinking about it right now. KFCB is another very frustrating thing in the industry. There are stories you can tell, but don't tell them out loud. There are some stories which are not supposed to be told. And for film, I'm very much against censorship. I feel like every story deserves the right to be told. KFCB basically gags filmmakers.
Government releases funds for film, it's squandered, embezzled, things of the sort that wouldn't really work. But that is not something that we can say that cuts across the board, even in different industries.
film is art, and film is entertainment. And art has a very big purpose within a society, and it mirrors the society, and it gives solutions to possible problems within the society. So what I think, film has a very huge role to play within any society, any country.
Don't come in terms of you want to make money. If you have passion, well and good. But if you want to make money, you can go to Mudhurwa, you can go to Gikomba, you can go to this small scale business. But in film, hey, you need patience.
So how come other African countries can make such films that address current issues? How come they can make such and we can come watch them at a festival, and we can't make such films and show them to Kenyans? Kenyans see these things all the time. Why can't we show them in films? Really awesome platform to get to talk about our short films, because sometimes you just do something, it's like, it's no big deal, but if you actually talk about it and you learn, you learn more about yourself and why you keep doing this. So Silver Screen is a good reminder why we keep making films. So good job.
Films realized in order to attract huge audiences, they needed to use attractive or good-looking people.
Exploitation is something that's there, probably every career.
My name is Joy Kiai, and my fascination for modeling started when I was about 8 years old.
It's very hard to get into the acting industry.
I may be pretty, but I do not have all what it takes to be a supermodel.